Okay, so now we move into part 3, and like I said, part 3 is the most challenging part of the exam and the most important. So you're going to have to really perform in part 3, but part of that is knowing the procedures that you're going to go through. All right, so once you move into part 3, the examiner is going to say almost exactly this. We've been discussing a place that you would like to visit again, and I'd like to discuss with you one or two more general questions relating to this topic. We used the example, of course, from the previous slide, which was a place that the person would like to visit again. Well, it might be any newspaper topic, really. Now, part 3 is going to be related to the topic you spoke about in part 2. So the topic that we saw in our part 2 example was here. So it was describe a place that you visited that you'd like to visit again. And that was your part 2 monologue. So a monologue means a person speaking alone, like a speech almost. And that's exactly what you did in part 2. And the language that you used in there is mostly personal. Now, when I say personal, I mean things that affected you. So you're telling a story, basically, relating to what you did on that holiday. Well, your part 3 is going to be related to that topic of part 2. It's not going to be related necessarily to your story about the place that you visited, but it will be related to tourism in this case. So you can see that the examiner, in this example anyways, would say, let's discuss, first of all, tourist destinations. And when I say general language, I mean that the topic itself has become general. So in part 3, it's not questions about yourself, about, for example, with the first one, what makes a place a good location for families to go to for holidays? Well, that is not a question where you should talk about places where you like to go for holidays or where you and your family like to go. Instead, you should be answering generally. So the answer, of course, for something general in there would be something along the lines of talking about how people usually love to go to places where the weather's nice and where they can go to the beach. Now, maybe this is true for you personally as well, but we need to, of course, focus on answering the question and giving the examiner what he is looking for. So part 3 is question and answer. It's quite different from part 1. And in part 3, the examiner is going to push you a little bit to see how well you can perform. So they're going to push you to your linguistic limits, and they want you to perform. So you might think sometimes, if you're a more advanced candidate, well, the examiner might disagree with you on something or ask you to explore the other side of an argument. And that's great because, again, we're going to use these questions that the examiner is giving you in order to demonstrate your language ability, rather than, of course, being afraid of the questions that he's asking you.